Hey guys, it is On Screen, Off Screen, back with another episode. I am excited to talk about what we're going to talk about this week. Josh, let's start with your quite a topic. There you go.
Okay. This week I went through a phase of where I unlocked like this core memory, and I started remembering all of these childhood movies that I used to watch and love.
Yeah.
And I went through and I binged a bunch of them. So the first one I watched was The Pacifier, and that one is one I've always just known and loved. But I still think is super underappreciated. But when I watched it, I unlocked and I was like, the game plan. Herbie Fully Loaded, Agent Cody Banks, and Surfs Up was the other ones that I turned on because of this. And I feel like there's more. And like, I was just like, oh, my, how do I not like think of these movies all of the time?
Yeah.
Because I have seen these easily half a dozen each or more. Some of them, like Surfs Up, was like a regular occurrence for me.
Okay.
You know, and it just you move on and you kind of forget about them. And these are fantastic movies. Okay, The Pacifier, my favorite Vin Diesel movie. I put in quotes. It's this or the Iron Giant. This one's live action with actual Vin Diesel. Iron Giant, he's just a voice. But like, so good. Game plan, easily my favorite movie with The Rock. Easily.
I've never seen Game Plan. It's the only one of
Okay.
these I haven't seen.
It's the same thing as The Pacifier.
Okay.
It's just Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a football player. This adorable little girl shows up and says, I'm your kid. Take care of me. And he's a fit originally like, I'm too cool. I'm too pro football. I'm too big. I don't want to deal with this. And then he falls in love with the little girl and is like, oh, this is my daughter. I care for her. And it's super unrealistic because all of this takes place over like a week. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Holy Herbie Fully Loaded. I know it originally caught a bunch of flack for sucking, um, and I'm sure that that's probably true. But it was enjoyable. Yes, there were a ton of plot holes. Yes, it wasn't the best movie in the world, but it was just still enjoyable. Agent Cody Banks, awesome. I
I
could not
love that movie.
recommend a better spy thriller for the entire family than Agent Cody Banks. And
Me either.
even the second one is clearly not as good as the first, but is still super great.
I will rewatch the second one because I remember thinking that movie sucked, and I love the first movie. I love the first movie so much, and I thought the second one was dog crap, like terrible, terrible movie.
I think it's more of the same, right? And
Okay,
it is a little old and it feels aged, and you're like, yeah, it's not as good as the first one. And why would I watch Agent Cody Banks 2 when I could just watch Agent Cody Banks 1? Totally valid opinions.
yeah,
Absolutely. But like Agent Cody Banks 2 on its own, if Agent Cody Banks 1 didn't exist, it's still a enjoyable movie. It's still fun.
okay.
And like, yeah, it's got the most obvious twist of all time. But it happens so early that you're not even mad about it and you're just having fun. And like, it's got the black guy from Transformers, and he's just like this screw up spy, and it just fits the whole thing. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Why is the CIA relying solely on this teenage spy and the screw up spy? Like the first one, it's like you get like an actual agent with the kid agent, and they're
Yeah,
working together. And in the second one, you have a screw up agent
and the
who's
kid agent.
being punished by being sent to London. And it's like, oh, there are worse places the CIA could send you, my dude. Not a doubt in my mind. Uh, but yeah, it's just so enjoyable. Surfs Up, I realized, has such a stacked cast. And fun fact, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. We talked about it on one of our other episodes. I just don't remember
Okay.
it that well.
Okay. Well, it takes the point of view of someone filming this documentary about surfers. So there's a lot of, like, half of the screen time is interviews with the characters. Anybody who's not a main character is an actual pro surfer. Fun fact number one. Fun
That's
fact number
cool.
two, every interview is improv. So every
That's
time they're
that's
talking
cool.
to a character, the actor is acting as the character, and then they just kind of like put it in the movie if it became a thing. So like
That's cool.
Zoe Deschanel started making jokes about this one character who they turned into an actual character because she kept referencing it.
Mhm.
The like little penguin, he like drowns all the time and has a big crush on her character. Like that was not a scripted character. She just was
Really?
like, "Oh, I feel like my character would have like a person in the like this in her life." So she was like, his name's like Dilbert or something. Like it doesn't even fit the. But she just kept improving that Dilbert was such this like kid vying for her attention, and Dilbert keeps drowning, but she's never lost anybody and all this kinds of stuff. So they like cast him, gave him lines, and brought him into this movie. Like
That's awesome.
it's so good. It's like it's not quite the improv level that Emperor's New Groove is because that whole movie is basically just improv because they were just vying to throw it all together there at the last minute. But it, I super love Surfs Up. It is so good. But here's my like conversation topic that I wanted to come up with,
Yeah.
talk about because of these movies.
Okay.
What happened to fun for the whole family movies?
Okay. I think that there still are some, like I mentioned Mitchell's and the Machines.
Clearly a kids movie that adults can enjoy. That's
You don't
different,
think that
right?
okay,
So
tell me how it's different, because that feels like a family movie to
so
me. It's
like
about a family.
The Puss in Boots movie that you love, right?
Yeah,
That's one
yeah,
I've actually seen. I haven't seen the Mitchells and the Machines movie, but
yeah.
like Puss in Boots is like the common like fun for the whole family. Last Wish,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That is so clearly a kids movie to me,
Okay.
right? It's a kids tone. It's talking to kids. Its audience is for kids, right?
Okay.
And
Even though
while
it's dealing with some
adults
like
can enjoy it,
serious topics like fear and literally the idea of like getting older and reaching your midlife crisis and like all of this stuff that's not very kiddish at all.
yeah, but it's also not like super serious about it. And it's very surface level with what those issues really are,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
You enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it. That's totally fine. But like, I would say that's a kids' movie that adults can enjoy, right? But I
Okay.
have like there used to be like this entire genre, and the genre was like fun for the whole family, right? And like Disney kind of like dabbled in it. Um, a bunch of other studios made stuff like the Game Plan, the Pacifier, Agent Cody Banks. You know, Agent Cody Banks is probably more of like a for kids movie, but like,
Just happened to come together in a fantastic way that's so
yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah. Um, but specifically, if we talk about the Pacifier and the Game Plan, like that was marketed as like a fun for the whole family thing.
So I've got one that I'm curious what you think of. I know you don't love this movie, but would you count The Greatest Showman as one of these movies?
No,
No. Okay. Why not on that one? Because I think I would. I think I would.
I wouldn't, because A, it's a musical, so it puts it in its own little category where you're marketing it as musical.
Okay.
B, if you talked about just the story, it's not very kid friendly. And the
Okay.
only reason kids do it is because catchy music,
Okay.
right? So it's like the kids love the music. They don't care about the story at all. They don't care about the characters really at all. They care about the music. And the adults, same thing, because the story of that movie really isn't that great. Uh, but it's not really like go look up the trailer for the passive ironic game plan, and I bet you that they even use in their advertisements
Fun
fun
for the whole
for the
family.
whole family. It's not gender specific. It's not age specific. It's not adult in any part of it where you're like, okay, kids can't watch it. Right. I
Yeah.
just feel like right now we have this like young adult section that's kind of dying off, but it's still really popular. You have
Yeah.
adult films
Yeah.
and you have kid films,
Yeah.
right? If we take it away from movies, I would put this as like the middle grade book section where it's like Gregor the Overlander or something like that, or Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief, where it's like, yeah, the target audience for all of these movies were kids, but there's so many layers to them and they're so good that it's fun for the whole family. Parents don't dread taking their kids to these movies. Older siblings are happy going to these movies. They're movies that literally everybody can sit down, watch, and enjoy every part of.
Yeah. I'm actually looking through a list right now, and there haven't been Mitchell versus the Machines or whatever it's called is probably the last one that I can think of that I would count as this. But otherwise, you have like Disney type stuff that's definitely just catered toward kids, or heavy action movies, and they're getting more and more full of swearing and extreme blood. I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. Like you had Enchanted 2, but that was a terrible movie. They were trying to do something there. The first Enchanted, I would call one of these movies.
I would too. Right?
You would?
Ella
Okay.
Enchanted is a great example as a fun for the
Yeah.
whole family kind of movie.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really know why they went away. I know none of them were like
Hmm.
the big box office hits, but like they were just so solid. And these were like, I know DVD sales is probably the bigger reason because you can't count on that anymore. But so many people would buy DVDs for this stuff because it was such an easy, fun for the whole family, family
Kind of
night
thing.
kind of a movie. My next question for that is: will they come back? If we accept the premise that these are kind of died off, do you think they will come back?
I don't think so. I think social media and just people in general get more and more focused into what they like and more categorized. And like, if you go over to Europe before us, they were already doing what we do. They were very much it's little kids or it's very adult, and they became more and more separated as time went on. And it seems like most other cultures do this. Why they do this, I don't know, but it seems like a common trend, and I don't really see it reversing.
Okay. I kind of disagree with you there,
Okay.
right? So if we look at trends over of storytelling, right? If we don't
Hmm.
just narrow it down to books or movies or whatever, we look at trends of storytelling. It seems very like cyclical,
Okay.
right? So we go through a trend, right? We've just finished the trend of superheroes, right? We're moving on to the next trend of things. They're trying to figure out what the next one is because they're not making
Trying
the
to do
money
video game
anymore, right?
stuff. Yeah.
So they're moving on to the next trend, and we kind of go through these cycles. Now, I don't think that like Disney is necessarily going to be picking up and publishing these projects again. But you also have this wave of fan films, and we're going to talk about one later, where it's becoming easier and more accessible for regular people to do these kinds of things. That it's gonna come back around in the form of fan and indie films where these lower budget productions take a swing at something that's a little ridiculous like an Agent Cody Banks, but it's gonna be a smash hit because there's nothing it's competing against, right? The genre's dead. So you're going to have a reason to bring the entire family to the movie theaters again. And then you're going to have a bunch of people trying to pick up on that and go over it again. And then it'll get really popular again. Then it'll not get popular. Same with like every genre out there.
Do you think we're just too critical now? Like, if it's a kid's movie, oh, it's fine. It has plot holes. It's a kid's movie. Not a big deal. Whatever. And if it's an adult serious movie, then we can really pick it apart. But if it's that middle area where it can have some plot holes, but people are so cynical now that they just like pick apart Cody Banks like it's supposed to be Shakespeare when it's Cody Banks.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because like while you and I are both very critical movie watchers,
mm-hmm.
and can be absolutely ruined by plot holes. Like we can watch a movie, we can be absolutely enjoying it, or like the book I was reading, The Teacher, where it's like, oh man, this is so good, and then the plot issue happens and it ruins everything. Not everyone is that way, right?
That's true.
And it's kind of like the same for like music. Some people listen to lyrics, some people listen to the beat, and with movies, some people watch for the plot, and some people watch to enjoy it. Right? There are people out there that are like, no matter how bad this is,
I'm going to enjoy it.
If I enjoy it, it makes it good, even if logically it's bad. Like, there are arguments all over the place where somebody would be like, how can you watch this movie? It's so terrible. There's a plot hole here, 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 and here. And the other person will respond with, like, I honestly didn't notice, and I just enjoyed it.
That's my wife, 100%.
Like, a lot of people just don't notice, right? Like, people talk about Endgame right now. I just saw a TikTok yesterday about Endgame and time travel. And I was like, nobody is talking about how they addressed the time travel paradox and then immediately went back on it, creating its very own plot hole in back-to-back scenes. Nobody talks about it, but it's my biggest pet peeve with the entire show. But nobody else cares.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody looks
it up. Because people just enjoyed it.
So I actually did think of one that came out fairly recently that I would call family hole for the. I would call this, Wonka, the new Wonka movie. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
What do you think about that one? Does that one count?
I would put it in the young adult category, where it's not really like, I don't see an 8-year-old watching that and having a good time.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of like dark scenes and a lot of more serious plot, and there's a lot of like just talking plot stuff, whereas like not entertaining for somebody who's 8 and is not going to enjoy it.
Okay. Interesting. But
Like,
some of these other movies, don't they have dark moments? Like Cheaper by the Dozen has the father dealing with all the stresses that he's dealing with, and he's literally like falling apart a little bit.
Right, but it's not half the movie.
Okay. It's a couple scenes. It's a couple scenes.
Yeah, like all of these movies have more serious things.
Mm-hmm.
All of them do. That's why they're enjoyable for adults. But they're not so dominating and so hyper-specific, which I think part of the problem with these adult movies is they get too specific. They create their own plot issues. But there's just enough to them that you enjoy them as an adult. And if we look at them, like these shows that we grew up with, The Pacifier or Agent Cody Banks, right?
Yeah.
You enjoy it as a kid, but then you watch it and you see it in an entirely different light as an adult.
That's true.
Right. And with like Wonka, like half the movie you're sitting there and it's just him like trying to figure out these very adult problems: money, financing, corporate greed, getting into business, going at like, it's not whimsical or adventure enough that like a very small kid. It's kind of like borderline, right? Because somebody who's like 10 or 11, I could see probably enjoying the majority of, but just somebody who's like really really little, I don't see
Liking it
liking it.
or keeping. Yeah.
I can see liking parts, I guess, but I don't know.
For anybody watching, I'd be really interested in what you think counts as like fun for the whole family movie that's modern, because it seems like our definitions are kind of not clear. It's like Wonka. I would count it. I think I would count it. But I get your point, Josh. Like I understand where you're coming from. You're not like a lot of times you're a complete moron, but this time you have a decent point.
I make all good points all of the time. Okay,
Not
all
all
of
the
my
time.
points
Nah,
are very well thought out and
nah,
zero
not all
issues.
the time. If you give Josh like 4 weeks to really contemplate something, he can sometimes pull out a thought or two that's worth it. Nah, dude, I think you got some good points there. I don't know if they'll ever come back. I do like your point about home videos becoming easier to produce. I mean, you have a YouTube. We literally did a movie from YouTubers that started making home videos and then created a fantastic movie just a couple weeks ago. Like you can just, the sky's the limit. You can make some really good stuff, and with modern technology becoming more and more impressive, we're gonna see greater and greater movies for sure.
Absolutely. I just see that this genre becoming more popular because like right now fan films is kind of like the ultra nerds kind of area,
Yeah.
but as it grows and becomes even more easy and more accessible, I just feel like there's going to be somebody from like an LDS family who grew up in a family of 9 kids and is going to be like, hey, that new version of Cheaper by the Dozen sucked and I could do a better job. And they're actually going to make it. And they're actually going to do a better job.
So that kind of leads me to a different question of like, will theaters and movies even survive? Because I feel like we're getting more and more into the algorithms and the shorter attention spans and shorter movies and shorter clips, and people are watching like the Disney Channel type stuff. They're making that kind of stuff right now on YouTube and TikTok, where it's the teenagers coming together and they have some kind of weird situations and they're dealing with romance drama and all those teen show kind of things. That's being made now. Do you think that modern movies will even survive?
I think they're going to adapt. And I think, like, I don't like movie theaters, so they can go rot and die for all I care.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like they're going to make some changes and it's going
Okay.
to change how we go to see the movies in the theater.
Like
Right.
what do you think?
If I were to put on my tinfoil hat and
Yeah.
start making just wild projections, it's not going to be a new movie experience anymore. At least not big budget,
Okay.
right? I think it's going to be new indie movies,
Okay.
like A24 stuff people are going to go see in the theater. And the theater is going to be able to drop their prices because they don't have to pay for the big budget stuff anymore, right? They don't have to split with the Disneys and the Warner Brothers and the DreamWorks of the worlds. Um, you're just going to have these little indie filmmakers operating out of Boise, Idaho, making Napoleon Dynamite, and you're going to be splitting it with 3 people instead of the thousands that created the big budget stuff. And then I think you're going to also get people coming for remakes, remastered, and theatrical re releases.
Okay.
That's where the big budget stuff is going to come. Because, like, right now, you've got the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith in theaters. Yep. And as far as I know, which is not very much to be honest, but as far as I know, it's doing pretty well.
That's what I've heard too.
And I know Return of the King did really well last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. The Lord of the Rings being like, and they didn't do anything to the movies. They just said, we're going to screen these movies in the theaters.
Yeah.
And I think there was enough people that was like, I want to experience that in theaters. And I think that's where theaters are going to survive and kind of adapt to become. Um, there will be the rare ones. Like, I think the Avatar movies will always be a theater box office thing because that is kind of like you never get the true experience unless you get it in a theater. So people will always pay and go see that. So I think there will be less theaters. I think you're going to have less ads in theaters, which is going to be a big thing. And I think theater prices are going to go down, but you're not going to have the big box office stuff going into theaters anymore either.
Fair enough. I'm interested in where it's going to go. While I was thinking about this whole family movie, or fun for the whole family situation, do you think Cobra Kai counts?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
That is such a teen drama, teen like adult
Okay.
thing. Somebody who's 6 is not going to enjoy all of the
You're right. You're right.
what is it called? Soap opera-ness of that.
No, they won't.
Oh.
But Cody Banks has enough like flash that a 6-year-old can have
Yeah.
fun.
The 6-year-old can understand. Hey, kid, spy. I'm a kid. I can be a spy, right?
Yeah, and cool gadgets and flying and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like I love Cobra Kai, but I would not say it's fun for the whole family. There's also like way too much serious stuff and language and that kind of stuff that
There's
I
a
would
lot of
not
stuff
want
there.
a little
Yeah.
kid watching it anyway. So yeah, I would not put it in the fun for the whole family category. As great as it is, I just wouldn't categorize it as that.
Okay. Well, with that, let's go to my topic. This is not fun for the whole family. This season is not fun for anyone. It is terrible. This is Us season 5 is by far, by miles, the worst season of the show. This season is not good. Like, there's really not a whole lot for me to say that is good about this season. The worst part is Randall, by far. Randall and his family. I don't really like any of it. The only thing that's good about Randall's family is the girl that his adopted daughter, or the guy that his adopted daughter is dating, because he's actually kind of an interesting character and he expounds and makes things a little bit better. Dude, I don't know if it's going to record this, but your crackling of your keys is like, it's pretty loud.
I know.
Okay. Anyway, he's pretty decent. He's trying to like better his life and he wants to do good things with his life. But the oldest daughter, she's going through being a lesbian, and it feels like everything in this season just had to pander to whatever the political topping points were when this came out. So you start the season with COVID stuff, and every 2 seconds they have to be like, and we'll take our social distance selfies, and we'll be 6 feet apart, and blah, 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 blah. All the time. To the point where it feels like they're shoveling it down your throat, and it's terrible. It's not good at all. Randall and the family, you have to deal with the George Floyd stuff, which I thought they probably would, but it also just felt like they were shoveling it down your throat, and it wasn't enjoyable at all. There wasn't any kind of nuance to it. There wasn't any interesting thoughts. It was just shoveled down their throat. And then Randall, instead of like responding with somebody who is thoughtful and kind, he just tells the entire family basically to screw off and makes Kate sit there and cry alone while they're at their cabin with nobody to help her. He's like, I always felt like I was put down upon, blah, 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 blah. You are a millionaire black guy who got adopted by a family instead of being left to be in a foster care system. Stop complaining. Stop whining. It was stupid. The end of episode 2, you find out that Randall's mom didn't die, which is the dumbest choice they made in this entire show. The entire story of Randall is his family like leaving him, and the mom was supposed to be dead and all that stuff. And it is a stupid, stupid, stupid choice. You're shaking your head, and I want to know why you say no to that, because that is moronic.
They never, at least from what I saw, never officially said she was dead. Two, I agree with you, it's a dumb plot point, but Jack's brother being alive, where they very obviously said he was dead, and it very clearly impacted the emotions of Jack because his brother was dead, is a worse decision.
That's a really bad one too. Maybe I was more visceral reacted to the mom being alive. I don't know. I really hated it. And they tried to explain it like she went to jail because she was going in a drug overdose, and it was kind of like she went to jail for political reasons because other people wouldn't have gone to jail for so long for the drug overdose and blah 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 blah. But she's in jail for 5 years, and then she's like, I'm not good enough to see Randall. And then another year passes.
Stop.
I'm not good enough to see Randall. I'm not good enough to see Randall. And she gets her life together, and she creates a good future, and she thinks of herself well, and she actually like gets some mental help, and she becomes a high functioning great person. And she's never like, where's my son? Ever. It's dumb. It was a terrible, terrible decision. And they spent probably 4 or 5 episodes on this horrible, horrible point. Beth is like the supporting wife, I guess, but she doesn't really do much in this season. Kate complains more. She like doesn't support Kevin and Kevin's growth. Not Kevin. Her husband. It's not Kevin. What is his name? Kevin's her brother. Toby. She consistently just like belittles Toby about him losing the weight, and then she's like, I'm sorry, so it makes it all right, but it's not all right because she is belittling him, and it's garbage. Rebecca is dealing with Alzheimer's, and that's the one thing that I think is actually well done in this season. Kevin, he does a good enough job, and I do like the relationship with Madison, but it feels like they needed a avenue for Kevin to follow. They need to be able to keep going with the character, and not necessarily as much about the growth of Kevin that they've done before in the other parts of the season. Altogether, it makes for this season that's just not good. It's like it's just a bad season of television. And if there were like 3 seasons left, I would stop watching this show. Because this season sucked. I'm going to watch the last season because it's the last season. And just finish it. I've gone this far. I'm just finishing it. But this season sucked.
I didn't even know there was more than 5 seasons.
There's a 6th season, and I've heard the last half is quite good. We'll see. This season was bad.
I fully it's that all sounds bad. All of it is bad. All of it. And if I were you, I would stop watching because, well, I did at season 3. So
I know. I just have to finish. I have this thing in me where I very rarely don't finish a season or a show. It's very rare for me. And I've gone this far. I'm just finishing the show. I was going to say with the oldest daughter, she's going through this lesbian struggles, which I've actually kind of liked in the earlier seasons. I thought they handled it well. In this season, they decided to go like full on woke, and she's now dating somebody who is they, them, and she is like pandering to her parents constantly about how they are a they, and it's not a she. And they like, it is like this season because they had COVID, they had to get every woke talking point and shove it down your throat every episode. And it is just tiring. It is exhaustingly terrible. It's terrible.
Sounds like it. I'm not gonna watch it.
Good. Don't. I was gonna after season 4, I was gonna be like, maybe keep going. No, it's not worth it. Season 5 is terrible.
Season
I
4 is not worth it. So
genuinely didn't like it. I liked season 4. I enjoyed season 4. Oh, Lauren, I think you're wrong. She left a comment that said season 4 was worse than season 3. No, season 4 is better than season 3. For sure.
I side with
Absolutely.
Lauren. So it's two
Nope.
against one.
It's better.
And
It's
the
better.
critics all agree with me, and the fans all agree with me.
They're wrong. They're all wrong.
Not all of them, but it's an accepted opinion by the
It is an
majority.
accepted opinion that I think is wrong.
So
All right. Let's go to our last one. I'll just go through my initial thoughts first. It's Field of Dreams. I wanted to watch this movie mostly because of How I Met Your Mother. There's the episode where Lily is talking to Robin, and Lily's like, "They weren't upset. He wasn't upset at you because you didn't like Field of Dreams." And then it cuts to the guys, and they're like, "And he gets to play catch with his dad one last time." It's so funny. It's one of my favorite scenes in How I Met Your Mother. I think it's so well acted. And it's a movie that I completely disagree with because I don't think this is worth the hype. I don't think this movie deserves the occult claim that it gets. I don't think it's that good. Um, is it terrible? No. It's not terrible. It's okay. The acting in it is okay. The story of him hearing a voice and then building a baseball field and the wife just being like, "Yeah, honey, let's do that," is kind of like, okay, I guess. And then he builds this field and he doesn't even play on it. He doesn't even like go out to throw a ball. If I built a whole freaking field, no, he doesn't.
yes, he does.
When does he throw this ball? He
Literally,
throws it.
he sees the ghost guy for the first time, shoeless, and goes out and plays catch with him,
But
and then
before,
hits a ball to him, and then pitches for him.
okay, so yes, the guy comes like at the end of the day. You're
First thing
telling
he
me
does.
You're telling no, the guy doesn't come. It's like a full day before the guy comes, and he doesn't play at all. You're telling me that you build a pool, or you build a racetrack, or you build a football, or whatever it is, and you're not going to immediately throw a ball on that? No, ball. Go ahead.
It wasn't a scene, but there was baseballs lying all around when he went to go play with them. So like
It's possible that he threw it. Maybe.
he
Maybe.
clearly did something. So
I hope so. I hope so. You built that whole field. You better go play on the field.
I also disagree. If I built a baseball field, the first thing I would do is leave because that's a stupid sport. Continue.
Okay, something that you like. I don't know. You don't like swimming either. Like there's a dirt bike track in the back of your house. Whatever the frick you want to do, you would totally get on that sucker the second it was
Right.
done.
I agree.
Yeah,
But
come
we're
on.
talking about building a baseball field. I don't like baseball. So if I
Baseball sucks.
was told by a ghost to build a baseball field, I'd be like, there you go. Have fun. Go ahead, continue.
Anyway, the wife not freaking out. I get it. I get it. It's supposed to be like support your spouse. Blah 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 blah. But it just feels like they're. I don't know. It doesn't feel complete. Then there's the lady who's like talking about trying to stop the books, and you have the whole scene where it's the Nazis burn books. Are you a Nazi? And he's like talks about the guy who they go to find, the author that they go to find, and the quote is, "You know why I stopped writing books? Because he masturbates." That's a line in this movie. That is a stupid, stupid line. Why was that written? I don't know. Dumb. I do actually like the Darth Vader guy's character. I think he's the most interesting character in the movie. I like him. The part with the doctor, where he is the older doctor and then he becomes younger and he has to give up his younger self to go back to being the doctor and find peace. I thought that was the best sequence of the whole movie. It was the most compelling to me of everything. And then you kind of get to the end of the movie where they get to play this game. All these ghosts are playing this game. They leave, and he gets to have the one last catch with his father. And I read a bunch of reviews. It's like, this will make you cry. This will make you feel so much. And I felt zero. Nothing. Literally nothing. I know almost nothing about the dad other than he wishes he could have reconnected with him. I don't care that much. Doesn't matter to me. And you built this entire field so that you could play catch with your ghost dad. Whoop de freaking do. Do not care. And I think this show rests on whether you really love the ending and it really hits you or it doesn't from every review that I've read. And for me, the ending was just kind of like, okay. What did you think, Josh? Tell me your thoughts.
What a snoozer is my first quote.
Okay.
I had to fight myself to stay awake through this one. Normally, when I watch something for the first time, I'm awake no matter how bad or how boring it is. This one was actually putting me to sleep, and I had to physically force myself through it. I think if you take James Earl Jones out of the movie, nobody would like it because throughout the movie he gives two monologues and he just has that amazing voice.
Yep.
Right? I would listen to those monologues all the time. It's a good monologue. He's got a great voice. Absolutely. Side note, they didn't even answer where he went or if he was alive.
Nothing.
He kind of just goes
all.
off into the thing and he's like, you have to tell me when you get back. And then he disappears. This movie's super famous about how it makes people cry. Yeah. To me, this was about a schizophrenic Kevin Costner hallucinating everything. I think the family is dead. I think James Earl Jones is dead when you meet him. I don't even think the farm is real.
Okay.
Because it's about a guy hearing voices, building a field, right? Like, somebody in that family would be like, you're hearing voices? You need to go to a doctor. But they don't. They're just like, oh, this is totally normal and totally dandy. And I didn't hear the voice, but I'm just going to trust that a voice told you to build a baseball field, so we're going to spend our life savings on that field. I don't think so. No. People are going to be like, you should go to a doctor. And if you don't go to a doctor, I'm going to have a doctor come out to you because holy crap, you need some help. I don't buy the rift between him and his father because it's like, I said something stupid when I was 17. And James Earl Jones is like, what did you say? He's like, I can't respect a man who's a fan of a criminal.
And that ended their relationship.
That is not a significant thing. Yes, we say stupid things to our fathers when we're 17 years old. No, It does not ultimately build an absolute rift between two people. There's always underlying causes, and that would be like the icing on the cake that is 6 layers deep already. That would not be the big issue. Even when they did deal with the dad, I was sitting there just amazed because they established with the doctor that they only have the memories of being a doctor once they step off the field and turn into their older self. So why would a young guy respond to, hey, dad, want to play catch? No, because to him, that's not dad. That is a 19-year-old kid whose whole purpose is baseball. He doesn't have a wife or kids at that point. What? Yeah, my last note is build it and they will come. Yet there's literally no reason why they might come. I was waiting for a scene where they were going to put in the paper, like, come see Ghost Baseball or something like that.
I was thinking about this after, and it would have been better if, like, James Earl Jones and the rest of the team comes back out, so you know they're going to play a game or something, because I don't know what they're coming to watch. But think about the drivers. They all suddenly, like, hear a voice in their head that says, you need to go to this random field. And then they go to this random field, and they can't even see the ghost. So they're just like, what the hell am I doing here? You would think that you were nuts. And there are 30,000 other people that went to this random field and can't see anything. Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm
This movie was dumb.
I agree with you. I think this movie is dumb. I think on a critical level, it's dumb. I don't think there's enough weight behind the emotion to make the emotion pay off. I'm happy not ever watching this movie ever again. And to put it up against my scale, right? The
Yeah.
very first thing I have to ask myself in any movie is it better than Black Panther? Because Black Panther is the absolute staple of mediocrity of a 5 out of 10. Would I rather watch Black Panther? Yes. Easily 10 out of 10 times I would rather watch Black Panther.
I would too. I would too.
Yeah. So for me, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10 because of James Earl Jones. And that is the only good thing I can say about this movie because I didn't like any of the rest of it.
Fair enough. I was gonna give it a 4.5. That was my thought. Was a 4.5. James Earl Jones, and I did like the whole doctor thing.
I didn't like the whole doctor thing, mostly because I was sitting there having a problem with the plot issues of the girl dying. Because again,
Oh,
the girl fell from like 20 feet up
yeah.
and is laying there motionless. And the mom's like, I'm going to go call emergency services. And then the dad is like, wait, I made eye contact with a ghost.
And
And
it's
they're like,
all gonna be
okay,
fixed.
let's stop and wait and see what happens. And then it's like, I have this love hate relationship with how they explained it. Because, like, A, she's definitely broken something and has at least a massive concussion from falling that far straight on your back.
Probably, yeah.
But they said she was choking. Okay, well, when a person is choking, they don't lie motionless unconscious. So I
No,
was
they
sitting there
don't.
like, you needed a doctor to diagnose that your child is choking. I get that this is the most rare version of choking that has ever been seen, but still, you don't check for a pulse or a heartbeat. You don't listen for chest or breathing. Like,
Nothing. You are
you're just like,
remarkably calm.
ghost doctor, walk over to
Fix
me
her.
super slowly. Maybe she'll be alive. I honestly thought she was going to die, and that was going to be the part that made people cry because that would have been more impactful.
And had like her spirit pick up and walk into the cornfield or something like that.
Yeah, because like the little
And
girl is a known character, and she's
known
sweet, and
character.
she's so supportive, and she loves her dad.
Mm-hmm. And
I
little
was,
accidents do happen like that, and they are never brought up in movies where it's just a little accident that causes major problems. But that's
I think they do happen in movies rarely, but I don't
rarely, but
want to get
it
into
doesn't
that
happen a lot.
point. But yeah,
Anyway.
um, so I was expecting the daughter to die, and I was expecting there to be this big fight between the mom and the brother, and the brother basically disowned from the family, and we're sitting here having to deal with the grief of like that guy just killed this little girl, and this father just lost this little girl. Uh, my last note is I think somebody should make a psychological horror version of this film because I think it'd be better.
I agree. That would be really interesting. Uh, it would be more interesting. It'd be more interesting.
I would be way more interested. And like I know it would be like vaguely based, right? But you have somebody haunting a cornfield talking to people, but you can hear him but can't see him. And you do something and then this character has to deal with like, well, my field told me to build a baseball field, so the entire town is freaking out. You'd have to have the wife questioning his sanity and trying to be supportive and stuff. And like you can have a scene where the little girl like sees something in the field, right? Like it would be very loosely based, but dang, I would get way more behind that than what I actually saw because like this movie sucks. I don't have any other way to say it. Like it sucks.
uh, my kind of last point was I'm glad that what's the main actor's name?
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, Kevin Costner got more roles after this because I think he becomes a great actor. But in this movie, he's just fine. Like he's not. I thought because he was in the movie, I was going to like the movie better just because he was in it. Honestly, because I think I like him. He is just fine in this movie. He's not
I
terrible. He's fine.
I think all the actors are good. I don't think the
Okay.
actors are any problems. I think it's the writing and direction, right? I don't think Kevin Costner necessarily just gets so much better in other movies. I think he's doing the best with what he's got. I just think what he's got isn't fleshed out and doesn't make a lot of sense.
So that leads me to actually my last topic of like, why do you think this is so beloved? Because people love this movie, and I don't get it.
I think it's going to be a just different audience than you and me, like we just talked about earlier. Uh, we watch, we're very critical of movies, so when we're watching, we're taken out by all of these issues. But if you take it at surface level, right, it's about a guy who regrets not making amends with his dad, who's sent on this journey of self healing so that he can be prepared for when his dad does show up and they get to play catch one last time. And like, that's kind of sweet. That's a very sentimental, right? Like anybody who's lost anybody has had that thought of like, oh, I wish I could play catch with them, or I wish I could do our thing, whatever that may be, again. And he gets to do it, right? He gets to play catch with his dad one last time. For us as critical thinkers, we sit there and go, "That's stupid." He would have no memories of being a dad or even know who these people are, and so there's no weight behind it. But somebody who's not critically thinking about how they established that is just going to go, "How sweet! That's
He gets to play with his
so
dad.
great, yeah, so good." Right? And I'm sure that like I definitely don't have that relationship with my dad. I would hypothesize you don't have that relationship with your dad either. So playing catch with them is not really the most enticing thing, where a lot of people do have that like core memory of like playing catch with dad.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyway, if we're completely wrong, guys, and you love this movie, please tell us why, because I don't.
No, don't tell us why. Go back and rewatch it first.
Yes, go back, rewatch it first, and then if you love it, tell us why, because I don't, I don't, I don't get it. But I think that's gonna be our episode. We appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. Bye.